These 5 mistakes can cost you a bunch of money and there's a bunch of wasted time for your clothing brand. So here are these 5 mistakes that you can avoid and basically stop from all the other problems and all the other craziness happening. Just like how I had to go through it, you don't have to go through it. But maybe you will run into them later on the line. I'm gonna tell you how to stop them. But if you do go into them, let's say you make a mistake or whatever, a miscalculation, I'll tell you how to get out of it as well. But the first one is wasting money on ads. Ads is pretty important. Paid ads is a great way to scale your business, even reach 10 figures or not 10 figures, 5 figures or 6 figures. Paid ads is an amazing way. This is something you have to understand. Paid ads and marketing all relate back to the product. If your product is trash, then you'll have problems. If your product is good, then your marketing and your paid ads and all those other stuff will just sky high. The limits, honestly, on that is like non-existable. Like I said, like your product, your winning product, or even like a decently good product will get sales way more than a trash product. A trash product probably will even get sales, and that's how bad certain products can be and how important your product is when it comes to ads. So don't waste money on ads when you know your product's trash or is just a rip-off copy of something. Or this also relates to another category when it comes to marketing. Your marketing material is bad. If you don't have a good video or good content or anything like that, if your marketing material is bad, then you have some major problems and you need to upgrade and level up that content. Or when it comes to product, same thing applies. Upgrade or level up that product, make sure it's a winning product. Or if it's not a winning product, make sure it's a decent product that can at least get some sales. There's a bunch of other things that come into that, like logistics and stuff like that. So it's up to you to determine if that's a good product or not. If it's a winning product, you'll know. You'll get a bunch of sales. It'll sell out, all this other stuff. And you just know. The second mistake to avoid, just like how I made this mistake was keep track of your finances. Your finances is very, very important. Here, I'm going to show you what I did when it came to finances when I was starting my clothing brand about 5 to 6 years ago. This is what I did right here. I'm showing you right now. Oh, I have a sticky note. Ignore that. I had a phone call I need to make. But here we go. Let's edit it. Let's everything. I'm showing you what I did here. $7,000 profit Tuesday. This is what I did right here. This is what I did. Every time I had profit, revenue, paid ads, marketing, bulk orders, wrote it down on a sticky note, just like so. Take it out. Put it on my desk. I'll see it tomorrow. Like, that's not a good way. That's not a good way. Now, there's a bunch of tools you can use to make sure to keep your track of your finances. There's a bunch of free ones and paid ones and services. There's a bunch of things you can do, like Google Sheets. I know there's a bunch of paid ones. Just a bunch of tools that are offered and available to you. So just find out which works for your budget and your scheduling and which in your location. So I know some are available in some locations and some are not. Just determine what is available to you, what fits your budget, and what is easy to use for you. Especially if you're starting off or you're already going. Let's say you already got a few sales or whatever, you need to keep track of your finances and you're just a one-man army, then you got to find out what's easy for you to use. Because yes, some programs, services, and tools are 10 times better. But I say when you're by yourself and you're trying to start off and you're focused on other different categories, just really focus on the one that is convenient and easy for you to use. It will save you so much time. Another thing you should probably think about when it comes to keeping track of your finances is open a business bank account. Do not combine your personal and your business bank account in one category because it's easy to get mistracked of your expenses and go off budget and a bunch of other things. It's very easy. That's what I did, and that can run into complications, and you do not want that. You can't open a business account for some reason, which I don't know why you wouldn't, but let's say you can't. then you probably just gotta take more time on your finances and really dial down and just make sure everything's in track and make sure you're on budget. Budgeting is probably gonna be very important. It is important for both categories, in any category, honestly, when it comes to business. But you probably just gotta take more time, and sometimes for most people like myself, time is money. So you're gonna have to spend more time when you could be spending time on something else. So it just comes down to complications and problems you just got to deal with depending on your situation. But open a business account if you can. I highly recommend it. Make things 10 times easier. Don't put a giant mashup of your personal funds with your business funds. That's why you need those two things separate. Another thing is just to keep track of simple things. Things are pretty self-explanatory. For example, manufacturing costs, like bulk orders, shipping, like just simple expenses, profits, revenue. You just keep track of those things. Sales, how many sales you get, how many pre-orders you get. Just keep track of them. Those are just examples of what I'm talking about. And there's plenty more. But those are the main things you want to keep track of. And obviously, like I said, there's plenty more. So make sure you keep track of them. The next one is inconsistent branding. What I mean by that is that your image and your vision for the brand is very confusing and very inconsistent. Very easy with this category to confuse customers. It's super easy to confuse customers when you have inconsistent branding. This can relate to the vision. This can relate to customer service. This can relate to a bunch of different categories, like product. For example, if you just magically switch from streetwear to techwear, or you switch to a different style, or whatever, or you're all of a sudden a luxury brand, all of a sudden the next day after you dropped your collection, it's just not gonna make sense. You gotta make sure your branding is consistent. This is a mistake I did, especially because many will know that I had a first clothing brand. The first clothing brand was actually techwear. Forgive me, hold up. I got a message real quick. Oh. Yes. Many would know that the first clothing brand I had, the one I sold for upper six-figure range, that one actually had a techwear. It was actually techwear. Then I automatically switched it to streetwear. Did not work because it was very inconsistent. It was just out of nowhere, just boom, like that. And I tried to drop a collection, did not work. So what I did was go back to techwear, restock all my former collections, right? All my techwear collections, former. So people were buying again, and it was starting to get back on track. And then I started a second clothing brand. The second clothing brand is what I have now. So that's what I did to fix that. Kind of like when I made that mistake, that's kind of what I fixed that problem. There's a bunch of ways to fix that problem, but another way is to ease into a transition. For example, if you want to switch, you probably got to ease your customers in, or just simply start a new clothing brand. Now, that sounds like a daunting task, but if you're already getting sales for your first one, why not just create a second one? Now, this depends on where's your clothing brand's at and how far it's come. A bunch of other things apply to, like logistic wise. So it's up to you to determine which one's up to you. But let's say you can't do that type of thing. The best thing to do is just to avoid that problem in general. Just avoid it. But you're just gonna, if you don't avoid this, you're probably gonna dig your own grave. That's just pretty self-explanatory, but just avoid it at all costs. Now, what comes with inconsistent branding? For example, like I said earlier, you can confuse your customers and get way less sales, like way less sales. I have it on my notebook here. It says that when I switch my techwear to my streetwear for my clothing brand, sales dropped by 75%, 75.3%. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a way more majority, obviously. That's a freaking 75% of my customer base just leaving. But after I fixed the problem, about 50 to 60% of them came back. So I did lose quite a bit, about 20 to 15% off of it. And those customers just never returned, but dire situation indeed. But like I said, the best way to avoid this is just have a clear vision for the brand, have a good timeline and longevity in terms of your vision and everything like that. The fourth mistake is to not throw away your stable income early. If your brand is starting off or still getting, like, it's starting to lift off the grounds and get sales and stuff like that, yes, that's pretty good. That's pretty important. And that's a new step for you and everyone else who you're working with or anything like that. But just don't throw away your stable income as early, like really early, especially if you're still getting sales. Like if you're getting sales and you're like, you think like you can survive off that, do not do it. You extend your timeline. Just as simple as extending your timeline you can be 10 times more flexible and adaptable to certain situations. Just like, for example, if something comes up with your car or whatever, you don't rely solely on, your brand's income and stuff like that. Just there's a bunch of things about being flexible, adaptability, and just your personal expenses like food and rent can be 10 times easier when you're not focusing on the brand. When you're not focusing solely on the brand when it comes to money, that leads to better product, that leads to higher chances of going viral, that just leads to winning product 10 times easier, 10 times better, 10 times greater. So keep that in mind when it comes to a bunch of other things. Another thing is your product. When you have more money, that means you have more money to spend. Pretty self-explanatory. So if you have two streams of income, the brand, your part-time job, full-time job, whatever it is, something to get you money outside of the brand. If you have those two things, you have more money in your pocket to spend on the brand. That goes to paid ads, marketing, upgrading the product, upgrading your marketing material, just simply upgrading the packaging or, adding more or paying more for outsourcing. Just a bunch of things you can do and a bunch of things you can acquire with more money. This is why I said don't throw away your stable income early. Extend your timeline, extend it by a few months, maybe by a year, maybe by 2 years. I don't know what your status or your situation is, but whatever you do, just keep it longer. I recommend keeping it at least 3 months longer, whatever situation you're in. It doesn't matter how much money you're making right now. Just keep it 3 months longer, survive the 3 months, and then you can do what you want. The next one will be the last one, the fifth one, which is not networking. Now, networking could be very powerful indeed, and a very useful asset and tool. For example, if you're watching this and you're a clothing brand owner or you're trying to become a clothing brand owner, this can be a form of networking. Very easy to send a DM, very easy to leave a comment, and it's just networking, building relationships with clothing brand owners and influencers can help in different categories. For example, you can get tips, you can get ideas, you can get assets, tools, AI tools, just by networking. You can just see what other people are doing, see what other people's strategies are doing. Another thing is influencers. Very easy for influence marketing, just by talking to influencers. Now, be careful, there's scammers, people who just simply take the product and just dip. There's a bunch of things, so you gotta be very careful. But if you're confident in your influence marketing and you're confident in the influencer you're trying to, give product to, then yeah, very easy to do that, networking, and you can build a future relationship with that. Sponsorships, affiliates, just a bunch of things you can do. Another thing is building relationship with your manufacturers. This will lead to a better everything, honestly. And I've been with my manufacturer for maybe about 4.5 years now, and honestly, the relationship's good. They always come on time. They even add more. They even give gifts out, basically, add more additional products, so we don't have to buy. They do a bunch of things, discounts. The price has been lower and lower each year. Obviously, they still got to make their own money, but like in terms of our larger bulk orders, they give us a special discount, 10, 15, maybe even 25%. When it comes around Christmas time, I know last holidays for Thanksgiving and Christmas, they gave us a 25%. So that's really freaking cool. So just simply building relationships with clothing brands, manufacturers, influencers, just makes a bunch of other categories 10 times easier. And is at the end of the day, these 5 mistakes, if you avoid them, you're on track to making 5 figures or maybe even 6 figures, depending on your timeline and stuff like that. You might have to spend a couple months, maybe you have to spend a couple years, but you're on track. So don't think you're not.